if you had just, let's say, Marxist Twitter or, leftist Twitter or even liberal Twitter, what you would end up getting very quickly are like arguments over policy, to the extent that there's arguments. You'd have it be organizing tool. It can't exist on the right because the only thing they're interested in is somehow like mocking libs or owning the libs in some fashion. And
that's why Donald Trump was their candidate, because that was his primary function for them. That was their favorite part. When people would freak out over Trump's tweets, it was like mother's milk for them.
Absolutely. And here's Benny Johnson on Newsmax with John Bachman and Benny Johnson. And again, this is what they're so excited about Elon Musk about, and which I think is just wonderful, because I'm convinced none of this is going to work out in the way they think it is.
Benny, every time I see that clip of Taylor Lorenz crying about how mean it is on the internet, I always think of one of your catchphrases: cry more, lib.
Hey, listen, we're going to need a scuba suit and a rubber dinghy and an oar to get out of the liberal tier rapids that are flowing from Twitter, CNN Plus, Taylor Lorenz's Twitter feed. There has never been a greater onslaught. Indeed, very much an old faithful of salty Twitter tears gushing from the eyes of libs all across this country. It is so delicious. It is so tasty, and especially Taylor Lorenz's, because this is the unintended consequences of being a horrible person online, that people can actually call you out. And that's what's happening with Tim Pool, calling out Taylor Lorenz there in Times Square, using institutional power with the help of Jeremy Boring from the Daily Wire to get a billboard essentially saying exactly what Taylor Lorenz did. You're going to dox us? Well, then there is going to be a equal and opposite reaction. And that equal and opposite reaction is that the wonderful account, Libs of TikTok, has a nuclear following now, and Taylor Lorenz is getting humiliated in Times Square, and not obviously surprising to anybody. Taylor Lorenz is now asking who the advertising company was that allowed them to purchase this billboard. It's time to go after them.
So there it is. The Elon Musk is going to be so much lib tears that you're going to need a scuba suit
and a rubber dinghy.
And libs are about to find out, as exemplified by the ability to purchase a billboard in Times Square.
Yeah, people just won't shut up about that.
Yeah, just how it feels to have conservatives on Twitter.
I saw just really quickly on that billboard, I saw Asita tweeted out something like, imagine just a regular family coming out of the M&M store, taking a look at that billboard and trying to decipher what the hell that even means.
That's the funniest thing about this. Like, nobody, first of all, it's all like a Times Square thing. That's like the Times Square in the mind of people who have never been to Manhattan.
Right.
So it's like, wow, you put a billboard at Times Square. Nobody is going to look at
the center of culture in New York City.
Everyone's going to be confused and like probably trying to dodge like Elmo in a suit.
Yeah.
And I got news for you. They're not going to see it at the New York Times building. They're not going to care. And it's but this whole attitude and what's going to be fascinating is going to be see if Elon Musk actually goes through with buying Twitter, what they're going to do is he willing to sacrifice European Twitter, because the Europeans have much different laws and regulations, and which is a prime example of how you can really regulate social media. And they're going to get more aggressive as years go on. I can guarantee you this. That is not going to allow Elon Musk to do the things supposedly that, Elon Musk is going to want to do. It is so hilarious to me that there is this sense of that people are about to find out,
right.
But you see those stories where it says like literally bigots are returning to Twitter, and a whole bunch of like non-political people like that follow celebrities and stuff are leaving because they're worried about the hate stuff. So like it's actually animating these freaks in a way that they think like this is sort of like they're storming a hill right now.
It's crazy. And this is the thing that I don't think that like most people understand. Twitter is not political in the sense that you could, if you look at it in terms of numbers of users, there's no doubt in my mind that Twitter impacts politics because of the politically inclined who are on Twitter. But in terms of like the broader aspect, it's not like Facebook. It's like these people are not going to sit around and tolerate this stuff. They're just going to leave. And it's just going to be this sort of like much narrower thing. I think it's going to be pretty funny.
And lastly on this, just the obsession with Taylor Lorenz. I mean, they're proving her point about the harassment towards her. It's really messed. But like this is how stunted they are as just individuals emotionally. They're the boy who's 10 years old on the playground pulling a girl's ponytail because like they want to get her attention. And they've been doing this over and over again, and she's getting harassed about this. Like, they have decided for some reason that Taylor Lorenz is going to be the person that they stick their ire onto. And that's why the whole free speech argument is not, it's a distraction. It's really about they want the freedom to harass whoever they want. And Taylor Lorenz is a prime example of what they want to happen more often.
Yeah, also, I just want to just reiterate that it was a good journalism to disclose the identity of the hate TikTok account Libs of TikTok. It was good that person, Chaya Raychik, I think is her name, good that person was outed for the horrible bigotry that continued to do. I mean, good.
In coordination with government officials, which means it's a completely newsworthy story and good journalism by Lorenz, as you say, to look into that, because you find out she's working in coordination with the Babylon Bee, a conservative outlet. She's working in coordination with DeSantis's government. So it's inherently newsworthy by every definition of the word.
And she's on Substack now.
Of course it's newsworthy. I mean, the idea, and look, it's one thing, the question of like who is behind targeting literally dozens, if not hundreds of schools and individuals. I mean, look, we all know the implications of, when Tucker Carlson singles out individuals, they have like weeks, if not months of, just regular civilians, weeks of, if not months of harassment. But at least we know Tucker Carlson has to own it. And that's what his reputation is. If you have a platform that is that powerful and you use it to target individuals, it's a story. It's a news story. What is this force that is essentially, impacting these schools or these people? Of course, it's so obvious. And you should own it. I mean, look, I'm not necessarily against the practice of somebody saying, I think it should be, people can do that. Let's put it that way. Here's an example of someone who is saying something that is stupid. I personally don't know that I would do that for a single individual who represents only themselves. But I don't think that should be outlawed, let's say. But at the very least, the person doing it should be subjected to the same level of scrutiny that they're providing and should own it. That's basically it.